Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning into the Boxing Authorities. Joining me at the desk, Mr. Luther Dupree Jr., Mr. Smoking Jim Frazier, and my name is Claudio Relsano. Lots to get to. Let's get to it, Luth. Fury White. It's all yours, brother.
Well, I mean, we all had this fight. Tyson Fury dominated Dillian White. I told you Dillian White was sea level. He
Yes,
looked
you did.
even worse. 2 years you waited for this fight, you cried and whined, and then you do nothing. He came out southpaw. That was the only thing he did. And then was getting rocked, throwing punches, falling all over the place. It was a disgusting performance by Dillian. And then he cried after the fight.
He wants a rematch,
He
Luth.
wants a rematch. He said he got pushed. He's sea level. I told you that from the door. But what I don't like is all the hype that Tyson's getting after he beats this guy. Dillian White is not a guy that should put you #1 overall.
Good point.
I mean, it's disgusting, everything that they're talking about. All right, here we go. You know, Fury's out there. He got the love handles going, but that was a great uppercut.
That was nice.
You know, it's real funny how now he has this one-punch knockout power. He said he got it from Sugar Hill, but you know.
Remember when Muhammad knocked Sonny Liston? Was it Sonny Liston?
Yeah, and said, "Get up."
He was no. Who was it? Was it Sonny Liston that was all over the? He tried to get up and he kept. No, Trevor Burbick.
Trevor Burbick,
Trevor
okay.
Burbick with Tyson. Yeah.
But,
It was a nice shot.
It was a great shot. It was a great shot. But now he's talking about retiring. Unacceptable. He has to fight Usyk, AJ winner. You know, he still owes Bob Arum another fight, so that's going to happen. You know, I saw him bring in Francis Ngannou from MMA.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
I don't want
Yeah.
to see that.
No. Let me ask you a question. Why is this Fury wins? He's talking about retiring. White looked terrible, and he wants a rematch. He wants to keep fighting.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I mean, Fury's made enough money.
Yeah.
White he's still looking for some money, and he just doesn't have it. You know,
and
he
don't
hasn't
forget,
got the
before
big
the
fights.
fight, he was in Suleiman's face, the WBC president, saying he was complaining that I should have had this sooner.
Well, you know what? I agree with him. I mean, he was paying all those sanctioning fees and sanctioning fee after sanctioning fee. I would have wanted to fight
you don't
earlier.
get that money back if you don't fight the.
No, you had the belt, you're paying. He was paying all that money, but he messed himself up. He could have got the fight if he would have fought a Luis Ortiz, if he would have fought a Dominic Brazil. He didn't do it. I blame him. He's sea level.
Jim, you said that if White loses, you weren't going to say his name anymore. He lost. Go ahead. Your thoughts on the fight.
Well, I tell you what, maybe Luther could gargle with salt water.
I forgot to tell him about salt water. You're right. I told him
I
about whiskey.
did everything, Jim.
Just don't upset him today.
Well, hey, listen, you know, Tyson Fury is not the American dream. He's the American nightmare. This is a guy that came to America. We put our best out there. We haven't had a great fighter, American fighter, in a number of years. We put Deontay Wilder up there, and Fury smashed him 3 times.
2 times. Stop it.
Listen, they smashed him, beat him into retirement. Hey, listen, this is a guy, Tyson Fury. I hope he does retire because maybe it'll swing, the heavyweight division back to America. That uppercut he hit White with, I thought maybe that White was catching him, Tyson Fury, at a bad spot. Tyson Fury, I thought White was in great shape, which he is in great shape.
Was.
You
He
think?
came in.
I didn't
He
see that.
looked.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. He looked flabby to
You're
me.
right.
He's been in training camp a number of months, but Tyson
help.
Fury is like Claudio said. Tyson Fury is just on another level.
This
The
is not a
things
good era.
that he could do. In the greatest era of heavyweight boxing of all time. So Tyson Fury did his thing, man.
Here's some notes that I put down in the fight for Tyson Fury. He was setting up the trap. You always talk about Canella, so I said Canella. Setting up traps, and he did. He was very loose and relaxed. He wasn't tight. He was very loose. He was quicker
fighting
than
a
usual.
bum.
He was confident. Yeah, he was confident.
fighting
He
a
was
bum.
smart. And I kept thinking about Sugar Hill. He's done a great job with him.
true.
Now he's going to move in, with my opinion, the Angelo Dundee's. I know you're not crazy about Emmanuel. Not yet. Emmanuel Stewart. He's
Claudio.
getting up there. Kevin Rooney's, the guys who he's the name of this era.
I don't
Do you
know
agree with
about
that?
No.
Sugar Hill?
No.
You don't think?
Eddie Reynoso, Derek James. Come on,
I'm going to
there's
go with Sugar Hill. I'm liking him more and more.
You sure
Then
you're
the
not
other
talking
thing,
about Emmanuel Stewart? We talking about Sugar Hill Stewart?
I'm talking about Emmanuel Stewart. I mean, he's legendary. Futch. all those. I mean, he's not there yet, but I'm saying he's on that way, okay? And I thought about you when you said, and I think Jim's right. It was not an 80-20. It should not have been an 80-20 split. It should have been a 90-10 split. Okay. Now, as far as White, he was square. He was easy to hit. Okay. You would think that they would tell him, "Don't be so square." He was easy to hit, and he didn't go to the body much. Okay.
No. Look at that. He's
Now that's what I was
he's
gonna say.
sloppy.
Now,
I mean,
now let me
he's
say
throwing
something here.
punches all over the
When
place.
exactly, Luther.
His footwork
Watch
looks
his
bad.
footwork was awful. Look how square he was, and look at that long left. Now in baseball, you guys know in baseball, when you have a long swing, okay, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry baseball coach says hip, hip, hip. When you use too much hip, you open up bat drags, you pull your head off, and you lose power. In boxing, I saw Dillian White hitting a heavy bag, and he was doing this, right? When you do that, that backhand drags, and you leave yourself open, and you lose power. And he looked very amateurish. I have that on here. And like Luther said, he was swing and miss, and he stumbled. He looked at amateurish.
What was he working on all that time?
Right.
You know,
he was hiding himself. And
if you got knocked out by a 40-year-old Povetkin with an uppercut, I'm going to work on that. I'm not going to get knocked out the very next fight with the same punch.
Luther, he has 3 losses.
All
AJ, Pavet, all uppercuts.
What's his
Thank
favorite
you.
haircut at the barbershop? An uppercut. I mean, come on.
Again,
this guy didn't work at all. I'm very disappointed.
He was long, open. The heavy bag training, I noticed that he was long, and the punching bag doesn't punch back, but they should have corrected it. And 3 KOs, 3 uppercuts. He just looked bad. I expected more. Now, Jim had said if he comes in shape, he's going to do some damage. Now, he looked good. He didn't have the chin. He looked good, but he was out of breath early.
Second round,
Yeah.
he's breathing out of his mouth. I
Yes.
said, did you do any training? You left the country to do all this, and you're out of breath in the
He
second
was
round?
secluded. Remember, he wasn't doing anything. He just looked bad. But, Jim, I'm going to ask you, why did he look so bad?
He was fighting the greatest fighter of all time.
Oh, Jim, don't do it.
But you just said, though, 5 minutes ago that America's giving the best fighters, and you ripped on Wilder. Who else is out there that's? I said this again. I repeat. Before you guys left my house, I said Fury and Wilder separated themselves, and I'm still including Wilder from everybody else. Who's close to these guys? It sure as hell ain't White.
Well, there's about 10 guys that's better than Wilder. So
No, you can't. You're just making that up, Jim.
But
Who's the 10 guys? You can't name 10.
Because we're going to
Because you can't name them.
We have a segment on this show where we rank these guys.
You're not going to
against
keep disrespecting
people
Wilder
in
on here.
historical terms. So I'll just leave it at that. In my opinion, I've said it all along,
opinion's
and
so
now
wrong.
Tyson Fury is saying the same thing, that he's the greatest of all time.
We're going to get to
Yeah,
that.
that's-
We're going to get to that for sure. But Luther,
One thing we know,
if you're a
Fury's
trainer-
always going to lie. You know, he's always going to come in looking like he didn't do any training, and he's always going to lie.
Yeah. Now, what you said, though, he got hit by 3 uppercuts. Okay, Joshua, Povetkin, and Fury.
Fury.
Why wouldn't you work on that's a hole in your
Exactly.
game?
And not only that, I mean, what did he work on? I mean, he's throwing wild punches like he's fighting in a bar fight, telegraphing it. I mean, he's swinging so hard, he's almost knocking himself out.
Yeah.
It was pretty embarrassing. I'm glad I didn't pay for that pay-per-view. It wasn't worth it.
If you were fighting Fury, wouldn't you try to? What's the biggest thing? He's a big man.
Yeah,
He's
you
wide.
gotta go to that
Go to the
body.
body. A little soft, right?
Got to go to that body.
Now,
you see
even
the
Wilder,
rolls
as much as
flopping,
I give Wilder
nobody's
credit
going.
for that, right. As much as I give Wilder credit, don't show
that
him that.
garbage
Don't upset
list.
him.
We don't wanna see that
Don't
list,
upset
Jim.
him.
Come
Don't upset
on,
him.
man.
As much as I said Wilder separated himself, what did Wilder do that first round?
He
was
went to
doing
the body.
Yeah, but he didn't go hard. He was going like this, ducking and throwing a little. That ain't gonna
Anything
do
Wilder hits is hard. I mean, he's
Not
throwing
those
it hard.
jabs weren't that hard.
They were hard. You saw Fury going back. Fury didn't like that.
I think you have to. A guy like we're going to get into it. The shorter guys like a Tyson Marciano, those guys would have went to the body.
That was a guy that hadn't gone to the body much because anytime he hit somebody in the face, they were going down. So it wasn't a guy who really does
You
great
have to
body
adjust.
work.
You have to adjust. But
Takes
what
a
would you
while.
have done? Could White have adjusted and done better?
No,
No matter what.
White is a limited fighter. You know, he's a barroom guy. He
Sea
doesn't
level.
have a chin. He's sea level. He got the most out of his talent. I mean, he should be happy. You know, he didn't
Luther's
have
right.
much talent.
White is like most of the American heavyweights.
No. As far as being
This story ain't from Brooklyn.
as far as being an elite athlete, no, he's not. I mean, he's sloppy in there. He doesn't have a great chin. You know, I'm happy he made a career for himself, but he's not very good.
What did you think of Fury's performance?
Fury did what he always did. He looked great against a C-level guy, played with him, toyed with him, and then caught him with an uppercut. That's great. I mean,
So you don't give
he's
him credit for nothing? Or?
He's the best in this era right now.
Okay.
You
Well
know,
put.
I still don't like anybody who's failed a PED, which he has in his history. I still don't like anybody who's gone in the ring and had to re-glove because it was illegal. But he did what he had to do, and those are facts.
Smoking Jim, your thoughts on Fury's performance?
I couldn't have been more prouder of him and his whole family.
He should have knocked that guy out way before. He
cousin-
was done in the second round,
I
Jim.
think his cousin even had a victory that night. Hey, listen, this is a guy you're talking about a guy that's 6'9", 280 pounds, fast, smooth, hard to hit, got 85-inch reach, which is the
Wilder
longest
dropped him 4
ever.
times, so he's not that hard to hit.
And I tell you what, this is a guy that I'm Dr. J, and this is a guy that he has mental illness. You know,
Here we
he's
go.
on medication.
Jim,
And he showed up.
we know this is Mental Health Awareness Month, but
Is
we
it?
don't
You
gotta
have
bring
his
it.
own
It is.
And for him
Dr.
to
J.
show up to a fight where a lot of people, a lot of experts, including myself, thought maybe
he's an expert,
he
but-
was overlooking White, and White's been
for good
training
reason.
former sparring.
What was he training?
Roy Jones Jr. used to tell me he didn't like to fight his sparring partners because they knew all his moves. And for him to come in and just do what he did to Dillian White.
Were you surprised?
Yes,
No.
yes, I was shocked because I didn't think he'd be at his best, and he was. He was at his absolute best.
You know what? And when we talked about it, I thought it would have been a 9th round knockout.
I think that's what I
After I saw Dillian White breathing heavy after the second round, I said, man, Fury should get him out the next round. White had nothing for him. He's breathing heavy, he's throwing wild, leaving himself wide open. You know, Fury could have got that uppercut off anytime he wanted. You know,
Couple comments I wasn't too crazy about before I do that. You rip on Sean Porter all the time, but yet you try to do his tie. But that's another
Yeah,
story.
you see that?
All right. So now, 2 comments. This is from Dillian White. You look good though, brother. I was buzzed by the punch, obviously, trying to recover, but full on two-handed pushed me. This is what I'm quoting. He full on two-handed pushed me, which is illegal. I hit my head on the canvas. Yeah, you hit your head on the canvas. He punched you. I hope he doesn't retire. I want another go at it. Your comments on those comments?
more excuses by Lillian White. You have no chin. You didn't work on stopping an uppercut or recognizing it. Blame yourself. Don't blame Fury for doing it and pushing you down. He treated you like you were a C-level fighter.
Which fight was it that we talked about? Somebody got hit with an uppercut, and we said there's a few things to do. One of them is to put your fist there. Why didn't they? This is the third, two knockouts. So Fury's good with an uppercut. Why his corner didn't fix that? But your comments on Dillian White's comments about he was pushed and he wants another go at it.
Well, a lot of times, I had a family member who was an outstanding boxer.
Okay.
And went straight into the open division because he didn't want to fight bums, and he got knocked out, and he thought he hit his head on the typewriter. The
Typewriter.
ringside.
He thought he got knocked out.
typewriter.
Did he think he got knocked out the ring?
Yeah.
Dang.
So he jumped up. He's like, I'm not knocked out. I hit my head on the typewriter. So when you get knocked out, a lot of times you don't know.
But this is after he saw videotape of it. I mean, he had to.
seen videotape.
He
of
had
that
to
at
have
the
known. They
time?
showed him in the ring.
He just wants what did Canella say? Payday, payday.
Payday.
He wants another payday.
Well,
Listen,
eight
man.
million-
anytime he
8 million
stepped up,
carrying.
he's got destroyed. It hasn't even been close.
It's just not. He's not on that level.
He's not.
I know what you're going to say about this. I'm very curious what you're going to say about this comment, and it bothers the hell out of me every time I hear it. They say Fury reminds people of Muhammad Ali the way it moves. No, he doesn't. He does not. He reminds me zero of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, say what you want, float like, but he floated. He had great footwork. He didn't run. He danced. He moved, and his jab. I have no clue why that's like me saying Ozzie Smith reminds me of Babe Ruth. There's no damn comparison. Okay, what reminds you of Muhammad Ali, Tyson Fury? And I'm not ripping on him. I'm just saying it's two different fighters.
Absolutely nothing. But he can talk. He talks pretty well.
Fine.
You know,
I'm talking about in the
trash
ring.
talk. Yeah, he's a
Terrific.
good trash talker. That's about it. I mean, Fury is great in this era. He moves well for a big guy.
For a big guy.
For a big
Does
guy.
he remind you of Muhammad
Not
at all?
Not at all. I don't see any resemblance.
Zero.
You know, I hate when they compare these
These are
guys.
boxing experts, Jim.
Right, right. And well, of course, they always hype certain guys up to compare them to Ali. There's no comparison.
Compare him to Foreman. Compare him to
He
whoever,
can't
but
be
not
compared
Ali,
to
but not
Foreman.
Muhammad.
You know, listen.
You
Fury's
hit it
great
right.
now,
But you hit it right. He moves good for a big man. Right.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, not only that, you have to look at his resume. His resume is full of C-level guys, and then he fought a couple of Hall of Famers at the end of their career. Klitschko, which he won in the boringest heavyweight fight I've ever
Right.
seen in my life.
Klitschko didn't throw a
And
punch.
then he had a trilogy with Wilder at the end of his career and dominated 2 of the 3. Outside of that, there's nothing on his resume that's impressive.
You hit it on the head. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you hit it on the head. He moves well for a big man, but don't give me Muhammad.
Right.
Any resemblance or comparisons at all to Cassius Clay,
ahead, King
or
of
Muhammad
Hype,
Ali,
hype him up,
or
Jim.
whatever?
Well, no, not at all. You know, Muhammad Ali couldn't fight on his undercard.
Oh, come on, Jim.
yeah.
Next topic. Come on, Jim.
No.
Please.
But when you compare people, like again, and I know you do it as a pro football scout, as a pro baseball scout. Let's say I'm sending my information to Luther. I will say this guy reminds me of whoever, George Brett. Right away, in your mind, you know George Brett. This hitter I'm talking about has a weight on the back leg, has a top hand release, stays closed, has a nice fall. I'm painting a picture for you, right? If somebody tells me, yeah, Tyson Fury reminds me of Muhammad Ali. Let's say I never seen Muhammad Ali fight before. So damn, so he floats, he moves, he has a quick jab. No, he didn't do anything like him. No. Zero. He moves well for a big man.
He moves well and puts his weight on. He leans on you for 4 rounds
So quit saying
on the ropes and all that.
Quit
You know,
saying
you didn't see Muhammad Ali
Ali did
doing
that
that.
too.
He could do a rope-a-dope.
Yeah, he leaned on you too. He did.
Wow, but
Fury's
Fury
rope-a-dope
really
is a little
leans
different. He leans and puts
forward.
all his weight on you.
Right.
Muhammad Ali
Holds
did
and
that
not.
too. Muhammad
No, not like that. Not like that.
Yeah, but there's zero resemblance. Zero resemblance.
Yeah, Ali couldn't.
Jim, that's an insane statement.
Although I think
we'll see if people are talking about Fury's fights years from now.
Right.
I mean, how many great fights has he really had? Ali's great because what he did inside and outside the ring,
Right.
and in the ring, the fights were exciting, legendary, classic fights.
If he was black, he'd be wearing his T-shirt.
I don't like anybody. I don't like anybody who's tested positive for PEDs. You know that. I think that should be looked into.
man. Well, when we come back, another quote that was said. Tyson Fury said he is one of the all-time greats. We're going to find out. Is he? From the boxing authorities. Right back. Welcome back to the Boxing Authorities. Well, as I said on the break, Tyson Fury says he's one of the all-time greats. Is he? Let's first of all put him up against some of the big guys in the game, the big greats. Jim, I'm going to start with you. Lennox Lewis, 6'5" against Tyson Fury.
Well, I'll just put them in somewhat of an order, in descending order. Number 6, I had Bo. Number 5, I had Lennox Lewis. Number 4, Cooney. Number 3, Klitschko. Number 2, Foreman. And number 1, Tyson Fury, the greatest big man of all time.
Okay, so again, so you think he beats Lennox Lewis?
Oh, he beat him. He'd make him retire sooner than Klitschko did.
Me, Luther, I think Fury's always gonna be in good fights because he's gonna go down. He's gonna get back up. And he has heart and he's got skills. I'm not saying he isn't, but Lennox Lewis to me is an A+ level fighter. He had a jab. He was a boxer puncher. He was your classic boxer puncher. Okay, yeah, he got caught a few times. I'm not saying he didn't.
Just twice.
Okay, but he won those guys. He beat him back, and he fixed his mistakes, which Dillian White did not.
Didn't.
Your thoughts on? And I'm going to ask you again though, but your thoughts on Fury versus Lennox? Who
Listen,
wins?
You know I love Lennox Lewis. I have Lennox Lewis beating Tyson Fury. He was the first of the big heavyweights. Had the long left jab and then come with the right. I think he stops Fury in 10, maybe 11 rounds.
Okay.
I just think he's too tough for him. You know, he would go to the body, and he was agile enough to get away. And I don't think Fury could put him down for good.
I'm with you. Tyson Fury versus George Foreman.
Tyson Fury beats George Foreman very easily, old and young George.
I think I've said he's got the greatest recuperative chin, if that's the proper way to put it, chin of all time, Tyson Fury. But George Foreman hit like nobody else. I mean, he looked bored against Michael Moore. When he threw that shot, he went boom, boom, and Moore went like this, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, and he sat him down, and his lips swelled up in front of your eyes. For me, for my money, they had that camera on him. George Foreman, the young George Foreman, would have beaten Fury, and the old George Foreman would have beaten Fury. And I'm not ripping on Fury. I'm just saying.
You're
I think
disrespectful.
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm like you. I'm like him. I love Tyson Fury. I think he's great for the sport.
But he would get destroyed.
But he get destroyed by George. Okay, your thoughts, Foreman?
Listen, man,
Fury.
Big George, young Big George absolutely destroys
Okay.
Fury, the body work. He would come in and just destroy. I think he would overwhelm Fury. If Wilder was able to put him down as limited as he was, Foreman destroys him.
The old Foreman?
The old Foreman and Fury would be a hug fest. I think Fury might be able to get the older Foreman. You know,
I think the old Foreman was better than the
he
young
was
Foreman.
smart, but he wasn't as he was young Foreman to me was a monster. He's one of the most vicious
He was.
punchers I've ever seen. Old Foreman, you know, he would beat you with his mind. You weren't
And that
beating-
right hand, brother. Don't
And that
forget
right
about
hand.
that
Yeah,
right
he caught
hand.
Michael
And his
Moore.
stamina was better as the old George. He was like this.
Because he
and
didn't throw as many punches.
Dundee,
and then he would do
Dundee
that. No.
would say, George, you okay?
I got
yeah,
you.
and that's it.
I'm like Jim. Young Foreman beats him. Old Foreman, I think Fury might get the old Foreman.
Not only would Fury beat Foreman, he would, after the fight, he would beat all 6 of his kids named George.
Oh, God.
I disagree. I can't say that.
No, young Foreman was a monster.
We talk about this legendary fight all the time, the Lyle Foreman fight. Lyle hit him, and sure, but
Yes.
Foreman got back
Back up.
Can Lyle hit harder than Fury?
This new Fury is something else. But I still say I think Lyle hits harder. But this new Fury, I don't know how at the end of his career he got all this one-punch power.
Are we
This
going to
boy can
say,
hit.
you know how he says Cassius Muhammad, and I agree with you. I say young George, old George. We're going to say
Pre-Sugar Hill or pre-whatever else.
Right,
Tyson
okay.
Fury, because this one-punch power is different. But Lyle was a monster.
I'm
He
still
could
going to
hit.
give you Foreman on.
Yeah,
maybe
I'll
a half.
I'll
Okay.
take Foreman. Yeah.
Now this one would be a classic fight. Riddick Bowe. Now remember, Bowe lost one fight, okay, and he did some damage that fight. He was one of the all-time greats, very underrated. Bowe Fury.
Greats. Ooh.
Yeah.
One fight, he fought. He was tough, man. Physically, I put him up in the top 15.
You know, that's the same Bo that ran from Lennox Lewis, who wasn't much. So you know he'd have ran
Please.
from Tyson Fury. But if you could have
Undisputed,
got him, if
undisputed.
somehow you could have got him in a steel cage match and got him in the ring with Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury would have made Bo quit in there.
Now, see, this one, I got Fury beating him. Because
Ooh.
you look at Galata, and what Galata did, those dirty tactics. Fury's one of the dirtiest fighters I've seen. If he
Okay,
was struggling
all right,
with Galata, that dirt, you know, the stuff that Galata was doing to Bo and really hurt him bad and really changed his career, I think Fury would do the same. I got Fury over Bo. Those dirty tactics. man.
Okay, before the show, I said Riddick Bowe. You changed my mind.
That Galata fight changed my whole
You changed my
mindset.
mind. See,
I mean,
I'm not all right.
And Galata, you know, was tough, but he shouldn't have beat Bo.
No.
But because he was so dirty and different
Mentally, he
things,
wasn't there. Physically, he had it.
Physically,
you know
he
what?
had
I'm
it.
going to change my mind. I'm going to say I'm going to give Fury.
yeah.
I'm going to give Fury. All right, both Klitschko's. Let's start with. I'm not sure which one we have on the monitor just yet, but probably Vladimir, who he did beat. Vladimir didn't throw a punch that fight, but Vladimir, prime Vladimir. I'm talking about these guys in their prime Vladimir versus Fury, Smoking Jim.
That's a hard one on me, man. Anytime you got money on your head from Russia and you still go out there and do your job, man, you got all the heart and courage in the world, man. I respect, you know, the Klitschko brothers, man. They really did something that I never thought anybody could do. They made boxing unimportant in America because they took the belts over there and beat all our guys. But Tyson Fury already beat one of them, which was the best. So that means he can beat both of them in the same night.
Luth.
Jim,
Same
come on,
night.
man, that's disgusting.
Same night.
Listen, the only reason he beat that Klitschko is because he was at the end of his career. I got the Klitschko's beating Fury, not at the end of their career when they're tired, and he barely beat him. It wasn't an exciting fight.
Right.
I got both Klitschko's.
How many
Vladimir,
years was it before they fought Joshua? I mean, you're not talking about the one that fought Joshua.
was
You're talking
about-
about the one.
It was about
Fury.
2 years
About 3
because
years.
Fury
He
tested-
fought another 3 years after that, right?
No, he didn't fight. That
No,
was
he
his
came-
comeback
he came
fight.
back,
He came
yeah.
back and fought Joshua for the fights because if you want to know the whole story, Fury was out. He was suspended because of PED use. He went on a crack binge.
Another guy Fury retired like Wilder.
He didn't retire. He came back and fought Joshua. That's not retiring him. He came back and fought.
Came out
you
retired,
talking
man.
about?
Came out retired.
You know, the thing about Vladimir Klitschko, and you'll appreciate this being a baseball guy. Do you remember Steve Sachs?
Yes,
What was his
yes.
thing? He started throwing wild. Or Mackie Sasser, Steve Blass. Okay. There's something mentally, and I'm not trying to be like Dr. J here, but there's Klitschko had a big right hand.
Yes.
But sometimes throw it. He wouldn't throw it. He would paw, jab.
That's
And he
true.
did that against Fury. I'm screaming at the TV, throw it, because I'm a big Klitschko fan. Throw it. He didn't do it. Something there. And I said
Well,
this.
he was at the end of his career, and
Yeah,
that's
there
what
was
it
a few
was.
fights. I keep saying I'm gonna remember. His
it
nickname was
Brewster?
the Black Panther. I was in
Lehman
Florida.
Bru- was it Lehman Brewster?
No,
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 not
no.
Lehman Brewster? Okay.
This guy he beat. I forgot his name. I think he was from Puerto Rico, but his nickname was the Black Panther, and I was in Florida watching this fight. He beat him the entire fight with jabs. I said, throw the right. He didn't throw. He just beat him. I'm telling you. I'm gonna get the name. I promise. And he kept on jab.
Black
jab.
Panther one?
That was his opponent, Klitschko's opponent. Yeah, and he
You're
didn't
gonna
throw.
confuse
he
Jim.
didn't throw a damn right all fight.
He's
I
gonna
think
start
if
thinking he's in
if
Wakanda
Klitschko would
or
have threw
something.
that
Don't
fight,
confuse
yeah.
Jim.
If he would have threw a right that fight against Fury, he may have beat him because, like you said, it wasn't a total dominant thing.
Right.
But again, Klitschko prime. I'm talking about Vladimir. I think he beats Fury. Now Vlad, who gave Lennox Lewis a run for his money.
Yeah, made him retire.
Old Lennox. Old
Okay,
Lennox.
but how do you
Old
think
Lennox.
Vitaly would have done against Fury?
I have both Klitschko's
Okay,
beating
both-
Fury.
all right.
I have both of them beat.
And I know you have both of them losing.
In the same night.
All right. Now, a guy who's going to be on our show, he's a friend. Love Jerry. A lot of people have mentioned Jerry Cooney with Fury. Your thoughts about Jerry Cooney versus Tyson Fury?
Well, Jerry Cooney's one of my all-time favorite fighters, one of the great left hooks. I thought he
Here it
was
comes.
the best fighter
But-
in boxing when he knocked out Kenny Norton. But I think that the celebrity status, they kept him a long time. If he fought Larry Holmes sooner, I think he knocks out Larry Holmes. But, by the time he fought Larry Holmes, he wasn't the same fighter, in my opinion. The difference is that Jerry Cooney is a Hall of Fame fighter, but Tyson Fury is the greatest fighter of all time, and that would be the difference in the fight.
Luther.
I love Cooney, you know that, but I still would say I would give Fury a slight edge over Cooney.
Okay.
A slight edge, a little bigger, very mobile, little dirty. It would be a great fight. I'd say Fury that would give.
Okay. Here's why, maybe I'm being biased. Here's why I'm going to say Cooney. Because Cooney was a smart fighter, and he would go to the body, and he would dig. He beat, he hit Ron Lyle. I know Ron Lyle was a little older. Hit Ron Lyle with a shot in the body, knocked him out.
Yeah.
A guy named Dino Dennis beat him to the body. Yes, he knocked him out, hit him in the head. But Jimmy Young, who I talk about all the time.
What a
I know,
bum.
I know you don't like
God.
him, but Jimmy Young was, everybody
Nobody was
hated
a bum
the-
from that era, Jim.
Everybody
No
hated to
bums.
fight this guy because he was hard to hit, he was hard to beat. He just when, like Luther talks about setting up. I forgot who it was that you were talking about that wouldn't let you set up several episodes ago.
Oh, right.
But you're right. He wouldn't let you set up. But Cooney, one of his easier fights, and he cut Jimmy Young pretty bad. Maybe I'm being biased
I would
again.
love to watch that fight.
That would be a hell of a fight. And Cooney, don't forget now, I met Jerry, obviously, and I was, damn, he's wide.
wide.
He's
Yeah.
wide like this table, okay? Fury's wide too, 6'9". Cooney's 6'6". And Cooney had him and Frazier are known for the best left hooks of all time. But the thing about Jerry was he'd go to the body. And then he'd go to the head. He was a very intelligent fighter. Real quick, against Ken Norton. Everybody talks about the big blows he had with Ken. But if you remember, Jerry's stalking him down, and Norton tried to spin him, but Cooney had some great footwork, spun him around, gave him a left, put him in the corner, and it was all Hail Marys after that.
Ken Norton had a Lennox Lewis chip.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I think Lennox had a little bit
Lennox
better
had
than
a great
Ken
shit. He just got
Yeah.
caught twice.
Right.
Come on,
But
Jim.
now, we talked about the big guy, so we're all in favor of him beating Bo, and Luther changed me on that one. Jim, he's got that damn
Jim
notebook.
says that, yeah.
All right.
Jim has them beating everything.
You know what? It'll fix your voice.
Yeah, I need to read that
The
notebook.
notebook. Just let it touch it. Oh, here we go. He's got it folded too, brother. All right, now we're gonna more interesting fights. Okay, the smaller guys. Tyson Fury, 6'9", yes sir, against. They say Rocky Marciano was 5'10". I think it's probably 5'9". 188. His last fight against Archie Moore. I'm very curious to see your thoughts.
Listen, Rocky is in my top 10, obviously.
Top 10?
Top 10, top 5, whatever. But, because of his size, I think some of the bigger guys would get him. But Fury, I think the body work, I think it would take everything Fury had, and he would give it back. I think his heart, his skill, his dedication. I'm going with the little guy. I'm going with Rocky. I love Rocky. Just because I don't have him number one, Claudio, you think I hate him. I love Rocky. I love the little guys.
I know you do.
But yeah, I'm going with Rocky.
All right, Mr. Frazier.
Well, again, I just got to give him a little descending order real quick.
Can you answer the question, please?
I will. Number 9, I had Evander Holyfield. Number 8, I had Muhammad Ali. And the reason is Muhammad Ali had the title from 74 to 78. And here's just some of the bums that he fought. Chuck Wepner, they called him the Bleeder.
Who was tough?
He's tough. Just because he bleeded a lot,
Joe,
he's tough.
Joe the Bum Bugner.
Who was tough?
Fat over the hill Joe Frazier.
stop. Come
Jean
on,
Pierre Koopman. Jimmy, I got a yellow streak down the middle of my back young.
They fought the toughest era.
Richard Dunn. Alfredo Evangelista.
All right.
Can we go down Fury's list?
No teeth.
Thank you.
No
Can we go down
teeth,
Fury's
no
list?
fight. Leon Spinks. And last but not least, Trevor Berber. These are guys that always
he was-
fought as
Muhammad was-
champions.
Have you gone
He was
down?
old. I threw that
Jim, did you go
bonus
down
in there.
Fury's list?
But
Come
anyhow,
on, man.
anyhow,
We can find some real D-level guys.
So
need a notebook.
number 7.
We need a notebook.
So I had Muhammad Ali, number 8, very overrated fighter. Number 7, Larry Holmes. Number 6,
Did he
Mike
answer my-
Tyson.
You still didn't answer
Number
the question.
5, Joe Louis. Number 4, Jack Johnson. Number 3, Cassius Clay. Number 2, Sonny Liston. Number 3, 3A, Sonny Liston. Number 2, Rocky
he confused himself with all
Marciano.
those numbers.
And number 1, Tyson Fury, number 1 of all time. And I got Rocky Marciano, number 2.
So
beat by
he
Rocky.
beats him. All right.
He beats him.
Okay.
All that to say Fury.
That
Okay.
Ali fought a lot of bumps.
All right, so
as
Luther and
champ.
I got Rocky. I'm with you. Body shots plus Rocky when he's in that ring was crazy. You need an attitude when you go in that ring. Again, I repeat, Luther, after several fights, after a guy lost, he said, man, he didn't even care. He's going, Marciano was, when he went in that ring, he looked at that guy as an obstacle. That guy's going to take money from me. And Rocky was obsessed with money. And he trained like a nut, okay? Never out of shape, and he threw a ton of punches, okay? I just think that his heart, they make, again, the thing with Rocky would take 10 punches to give one. The only guy who really busted Rocky up was Jersey Joe Walcott and Ezra Charles. That's it. The other fights, they made it sound like Rocky was half dead and he landed a big home run. Whatever. But now, obviously, the size disparity is ridiculous, okay? It's like me and Ralph when I was in the show. But... Okay, but I'm saying, but Rocky would go to the body. It wouldn't be hard for Rocky to go to the body.
No, that's all he could do until he breaks him down.
And then he would bring him down, right? And the thing, like Rolling the Stars, there's a picture. Rolling the Stars and Ezra Charles both had to have surgery on their arms because of all the battering that Rocky gave. So I'm saying Rocky.
And those
Now-
two guys aren't on this list, right?
No, but they were good.
I'm
Ezra
just
Charles
saying.
wasn't on
I'm
there.
saying
You
they were
talk
good.
about
I'm
Jersey
just
Joe
saying.
Walcott
I'm just
every
saying.
damn
They ain't
show.
on the list. is.
Luther will say, you crowbar. We could be talking about Sugar Ray Leonard and his, well, Jersey Joe.
Right.
So don't
Every
give me
s-
that
yeah.
about Jersey Joe. All right. Mike Tyson.
Oh, man. Mike Tyson in the 80s, I think Mike Tyson gets him. You know, you can't be the guy you were named after. His dad named him after Mike Tyson.
Right.
So that tells you right there who would win. You know, Mike Tyson was vicious, crazy in there. You know,
That's
if,
right.
If Fury started those dirty tactics, guess what? He might get his ear bit. He might get all kind of other stuff going on. Tyson
Prime
would get
Tyson.
him. Prime Tyson was too fast, too quick, and too crazy. You know, two crazy guys going in there. Oh man, it would be exciting.
Big time. But you know,
Fury leans on him. Tyson hits him.
Well,
low.
Tyson,
You know,
exactly.
Fury leans on him again. He might get his ear bit.
Right.
You know, so I'm going Mike Tyson punishes him. Very violent fight. Very crazy fight. A memorable fight. But I'm going Mike Tyson.
people don't give him enough credit for his speed.
Yes.
Watch him,
And his
again,
elbows.
Yeah,
And his elbows.
Yeah, Muhammad, Sugar Ray. Yes, they were quick and we're not talking about just that. And Tyson did not have good feet. I will say that. But Tyson was quick with the head bobbing and quick with the hands. Okay, power is speed. Speed is power. Okay. Before I go to Jim, I'm with you 1,000%. I think his violent punches to the body. You're talking about breaking ribs. You're talking about uppercuts. He threw a hell of an uppercut.
I'm telling you,
Buster was
Fury-
taller than
Fury
Tyson
doesn't
too.
like that stuff to the body. If you look
No.
at some of his other fights, those guys who went to the body had more success. These guys aren't going to the body enough.
Tyson had at all, right?
At all.
Tyson had a great
You're trying
uppercut.
to reach up to a guy who's 7 feet in the ear.
right.
No, you got to break him down by going to the
Exactly.
body. And these old school fighters would have done that. Jim.
Exactly. It's on you.
Mike Tyson. Well, listen, Mike Tyson. I consider him a friend. I did a
Oh,
a
gosh.
4 or 5 page.
I think we have a
newspaper.
picture of you when you met.
Yeah, we'll get
when
to
you
that.
met
I think I did a 4 or 5 page newspaper story over him over a 2-week period. What a great fighter! But this is a guy got knocked out by Kevin McBride and
I
Danny
think
Williams.
his career.
He
You know,
didn't care.
and Mike
We're talking about prime.
Mike Tyson
Prime.
only
We're not talking about
and
at
Mike
the end of his
Tyson's
career.
prime. He only had a 71-inch reach. Tyson Fury got the longest reach in heavyweight history, even longer.
And
than-
Tyson would've got
but
in.
less
But the
than
head movement.
85 inches. Tyson Fury makes Mike Tyson quit in there.
Oh, Tyson
In my
Prime.
opinion.
Prime
in my
Tyson.
opinion. in
Prime
my
Tyson with
opinion.
all the little bouncing and
Kevin
the head
McBride. You
movement.
can't just like you
Yeah.
can't mention Trevor Burbick with Muhammad
Those
Ali.
old guys.
Muhammad Ali.
How about
Don't-
Danny Williams?
Another guy
Tyson
ended
would
his
have killed
career.
him too. Muhammad Ali would have destroyed Tyson, Trevor Burbick, and Tyson would have. It would have been. He'd have got in trouble after the fight with Kelvin McBride. He'd have beat the hell out of him. He was just done. He didn't give a damn. All right, I'm curious to hear about this. I'm gonna go with you first. Tyson Fury against Muhammad Ali. I know what you're gonna say.
Against Muhammad Ali.
Or Cassius, whoever.
Well, they're two separate.
here we go.
Muhammad
The
Ali, I
bipolar
already
stuff.
read that Muhammad Ali was one of the most overrated fighters in heavyweight division.
No.
Did anything,
Fake news.
fought any bum of the month to keep the title, fought all over the world. Was great for boxing because boxing was down in that era. I think that Muhammad Ali would have gotten destroyed by Tyson Fury. But I think Cassius
You're
Clay.
losing points.
I think Cassius Clay and Tyson Fury would have been a great, great fight. That would have been a trilogy. I give the slight edge to Tyson Fury, even against Cassius Clay.
Who hit harder, Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali?
There's a lot of people hit harder than Muhammad Ali. A lot of people hit harder than Muhammad
Joe
Ali.
Frazier's
yeah.
face
Yeah.
said something different. Hey, I'm not saying he's a one-punch guy like Tyson or Marcel. No, but the accumulation. Your thoughts? Tyson Fury against Muhammad Ali.
Well, you know, I feel Ali's the greatest ever. His intellect, his boxing IQ, I think everything
Heart.
about heart, everything. Ali beats him easily. He styles on him. Fury could try his dirty tactics, but he fought against the Foremans, you know, the Nortons, the Sonny Listons.
Richard Dunn.
His resume is A+. He didn't fight
Frazier.
a bunch of C and D level guys.
times.
Ali styles on him.
Jean-Pierre Koopman?
well, everybody's got to fight
we're
those
talking-
guys.
He was champ then.
That's okay.
He
Hey,
did
wait a minute.
the
What did
final.
you say about me and
Fury's
Luther?
resume. No,
You
haven't.
rip on me and Luther because you said, oh man, Luther Claudio, you want Canelo to fight every. Once in a while, and I said, you were right. He doesn't have to fight number one guy all the time.
Who fought more bubs, Muhammad Ali or the champ, Sean O'Grady?
Sean O'Grady.
I think Ali
Sean
got him
O'Grady.
beat.
No.
Ali Styles
No,
on
no,
him.
no.
I'm gonna keep it short. Ali Styles on him.
I
got
think
Ali
Muhammad
easily.
beats him mentally. Fury's great. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not ripping on the guy. I'm just
In
saying.
this era, he's great.
Yeah, and because
only
of
in my
his
top
size,
20.
his skill, he would.
Do you think the rope-a-dope would have worked?
Yes.
for Fury? Oh,
Hell
my
yeah.
Fury
Against
got
Foreman.
his own version of rope-a-dope.
Who
if
hits
you ask
harder,
me.
Foreman or Tyson Fury?
Oh man, Foreman. Foreman hits
And
way harder than Fury.
George, I mean, he hit him all he could, and Muhammad said, "Is that all you got?" And Foreman said to himself, "Yeah,
Pretty
that's
much,
pretty much
yeah.
all." He went to sparring with
His-
Ernie Shavers, and he fought Ernie Shavers. Shavers had a
Old
hell of a
Shavers.
lot.
Old Shavers.
Oh no,
Listen,
Jim.
no.
Shavers could hit as
His
an
chin,
older
he had a
guy.
granite
But he was
chin.
old. Nobody would fight him when he
Man,
was young.
Ali had a great chin.
All he kept saying.
Ali had a great chin.
How old is he now? And every birthday they would call, how old is he now? Okay.
No.
All right,
Muhammad
55.
beats him.
Come on, Shavers. Come on, Acorn. Come on, Acorn.
Okay, Muhammad beats him. All right, Larry Holmes. No, Joe Frazier. I apologize. Joe Frazier.
Are we going to Joe Frazier?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Joe
Quickly,
Frazier,
yes.
that great left. He's in my top 10. I'm going Joe Frazier. I think Joe Frazier could get him.
Okay.
Joe Frazier, yeah.
I'm going to go with Tyson Fury on this one. Jim, Frazier, Tyson
We
Fury.
already know who he's going to
Well,
say.
Joe Frazier was one of the all-time greats. I mean, he wouldn't have went to the
So that means
Olympics.
Fury's coming.
He almost was. He got eliminated in Olympic trials, but Buster Mathis ended up getting an injury. Joe Frazier went and won. He was a one-handed fighter. He had the best left hook in all
Yes,
of
he did.
boxing. Joe Frazier prior to '71 was different than Joe Frazier that got put in the hospital for 3 months after Muhammad
Ali
Ali,
got
after
to
he
him.
beat Muhammad Ali.
Both almost hurt each
So
other. Yeah.
after '71, Tyson Fury knocks him out. Before '71, Tyson Fury beats him by
How about if he
decision.
fights before 10 o'clock or after?
Yeah.
There you go,
I
man.
think Frazier proved it against Foreman, and Foreman said, "I got to get him the hell out of here before I get caught with that left." Because Frazier would throw that big. And
Didn't he
just
look
missed him.
fat? Frazier against Foreman.
Well, the second fight, maybe, but I'm saying what
Hey,
Frazier, what
oh,
Foreman,
but
nobody
the
would've
first
taken
fight-
Foreman
those
did to
punches.
him, what Foreman did to him and picked him up, I think he showed that he doesn't fare well against the real big guys. That's why I think Fury gets
That was after '71.
Well, we're
Whatever, man.
All right, we're going to go to, so, again, Fury's one of the all-time greats, so that question. But I don't think he
He's in
beats
my
any of
top
those
20.
guys.
Fury's
top
definitely in my
20,
top 20.
Top 20.
Top
We'll
20
move him into top
all-time
20.
fighters, pound for pound, or
We'll get to that,
heavyweights?
but
Top 20.
he ain't going to
Top
beat the
20
guys we
heavyweights.
said. All
Top
right.
20 heavyweights.
Okay, this is our boxing mailbag. Keep sending your great comments to boxingmailbag@yahoo.com or at my website at claudiorelsano.com. Jim, this is for you and I. This is Mike from Steubenville, Ohio. What is harder to predict? You being an NFL football scout and a future NFL star, or for me, a future baseball star or a boxing star?
I think it's easier for NFL star than it would be for baseball.
Well, I mean, or boxing. So for me, baseball, which is easier for me to predict, a baseball star or a boxer? Football,
I
boxing?
think boxing is the easiest out of all three sports because all you got to do is see what woman they got in their corner.
I don't know what the hell to say to that one, but I think boxing, you can land I mean, you have to be very skilled in baseball. You know that. In football, at a particular position, you have to be skilled in that. You have to be skilled in baseball, boxing too. But I think you can land a big shot and not be the most athletic guy. You can land a big shot or maybe not have a big punch, but be skilled, with the feet, quick jab. I think it's harder to tell. So I guess the question is again, what is it harder to tell for us for a baseball guy or football guy to be a star or boxing? So
Well,
you say
baseball's impossible, yeah.
to tell if he's going to be a star.
yeah.
So so. You're saying it's easier to see if a guy's going to be a boxing star.
Yeah, boxing's easy, yeah.
All right, I'm going to agree with you. All right, as always, we hope that you enjoy our show as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Boxing Authorities.